too.
It's awfully nice of you to be here, Michael. I know you're working hard. You're out there. You're playing live. You're doing the necessary evils like talking to disc jockeys and interviews. All these things going on. But I do want to talk a little bit about how you went from 0 to 60 in a matter of a couple of years, and a little bit about that experience, going from a guy who's, maybe not even thinking about a musical career to a guy that forms a band that just kind of comes together.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had been pursuing a musical career for a very, very long time.
So you're not one of those overnight sensations.
Exactly. That's the thing, is they always say, you're an overnight success. And it's like, well, I put in 16 years before that to get to that place. Exactly. Well, because, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, then it didn't exist. So as far as everyone is concerned, that is the path for Fitz and the Tantrums, is sort of like we came out of nowhere. But even for us, in that path was, we clawed our way to every amount of success that we had. And still to this day, we're still climbing and still, I was talking with a friend before the show, with Mark, actually, it's like slow and steady wins the race, even though sometimes it can be an exhausting journey to get there. But
now, what was the seismic shift? Here you are, you're a professional musician, you're doing all the things you think you should be doing, and 16 years down the road, all of a sudden, hey, there's some interest in what I'm doing now?
I think it's a couple of different factors. Is one, for me personally, I've been a singer my whole entire life. I went to a high school for the performing arts, and I think for a lot of people that are lifelong singers, you can sing in many different styles. So then the question begs, well, what is my true voice? Because I can imitate very easy. And I think it took me an extra long time to kind of find my true vocal style, the one that was authentic to me. And that sort of fell, especially with the first record, into singing in more of a soulful or soul music kind of way. And so that was the first key. And then the second was just to have enough belief in this direction and to have a very clear, I think some of my previous music projects had been very diverse, too diverse. So you couldn't really understand what it was. And then the third thing was a lot of serendipity and the stars aligning, or as my drummer in my band says, just not getting out of line and waiting long enough so that your turn finally came around.
It's like waiting for ice cream.
Exactly.
Eventually the lines, you're going to get to the front of the line and go, hey, I've been doing this for a long time, stand in line. It's time that I got some ice cream too. One of the amazing things, though, was when you're talking about Fitz and the Tantrums, you said you had one rehearsal, some quote somewhere, you had one rehearsal and you felt like the band had come together and you were sort of ready to play.
And that's
Is that an exaggeration?
No, it's not. That's exactly the way it happened. And that's partially benefited by the fact that, a lot of times it can take a long time to put the right people together. And as with so many things with this band, I always say before this band, my whole entire musical career felt like I was trying to shove a square peg through a round hole with a sledgehammer, and it was just ugly. And with this band, there was just a flow to it. I could just energetically feel that things were happening. And so it was 6 phone calls to find these people. One person turned me on to the other person. My college friend that I started the project with, James King, our saxophone player, turned me on to Noel Skaggs, the other singer in the band. And these guys, they have dedicated their Gladwellian 10,000 hours of practice to being great at what they do. So when we all came together, it just worked. And we played the first song that I'd ever written for Fitz and the Tantrums called Breaking the Chains of Love. And we played it, and it was ready. And we only had like 4 or 5 songs. And I walked out of the rehearsal space, and I booked us a show at this semi-famous singer-songwriter place in LA called the Hotel Cafe. And came back in the room and said, we have a gig next week. And they said, well, we don't even have enough songs. But I've always done this with every band I've ever had, is you book a show before you're ready, because nobody wants egg on their face. So everyone's going to work extra hard to cement it. And it just was sort of the crystallizing thing that sealed the deal for us, because that first show we played, I could just tell from the myriad of other shows that I've done in my life that there was something different happening already in the very infant stages of this band, that there was this connection and this reaction from people that was happening.
Now, you guys played together. How much time was there between, hey guys, we got a gig, and the actual gig? Was it a matter of weeks? Was it days? Was it months?
It was just a week later.
A week later?
Yeah. So we had we didn't even have enough songs. Everyone's like, well, we don't even have enough for a full set. So I said, well, we better get chopping.
So was that a matter of, well, I've got a song, or hey, you know what we should cover is this is a great tune, or were you able?
We threw in one cover just to get us a couple more minutes in our set. I mean,
it
was a short set. I think it was maybe actually one that we've still done many times, "Sweet Dreams" by the Eurythmics, which we kind of just tried to take and totally turn it on its head.
That's pretty cool. Sweet Dreams are made of this, with you and Noel on stage. Well, what are the things, there are so many avenues for you to get your music out right now. I mean, there's social media, there's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's radio.
Too much.
There's too much is what it is. Do you ever get a sense of something you can pass along to people here where you really feel that something works for you in terms of getting the music out there, getting recognized, getting the music recognized?
It's so hard because I've done it and I see a lot of other bands do it, and it's a full-blown, all-out assault with every sort of social media tool you can use at your disposal. But ultimately, I think you have to also keep the focus on the craft and what it is you're actually doing, which is making music and performing. Because to me, I could see it, especially with other bands I'd done. I had my MySpace page and this and the other, and nobody came. Nobody saw it. Nobody gave two hoots about whatever I was posting. I mean, it helps a little bit, and a little baby blog writing about you here or there. But ultimately, for us, the most important thing we did was play shows.
Play live. Play
live, and that's, to me, what separates, like, the boys from the men, or the people that, anybody with technology can make a great recording now. It's very easy to make something that sounds amazing on your laptop at home, but then can you pull it off live? Can you execute that and bring life to it? And that's where we as a band excelled, also given the fact that all these guys were very experienced players, had been session players on a lot of other people's records. So when we came and we played, it was very raw, it was very organic, it was extremely high energy show that Noel and I try and create. A lot of call and response. We're not trying to be too cool for school or just too reserved. It's just unabashed joy, and people went crazy for it. And the more we played, the more that we got this true organic word of mouth thing. I tried to force organic word of mouth through social media so many times. You can't force that kind of thing. And it was just this thing. People were like, oh, I just saw these guys open up for Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings in Charlotte. You guys got to go see them, my friends in San Francisco. And it was this little message that transmitted even before we were on the radio or anything. And then we wrote Money Grabber, and amazing stations like XRT truly were the first to get behind us. And that's not even, I'm not kissing butt here, but that's the truth. Is
well,
you guys got beyond,
if it makes you feel any
so
better,
behind it.
We're totally mercenaries. If the song had sucked, you never would have seen the light of day.
That is, I'm sure, true.
It makes us better to have a song like that to play. And now, I'm trying to remember what was the first time you played Lollapalooza here in Chicago?
We actually came, when was Snowmageddon?
Oh, yeah, Snowmageddon.
Because we were on tour basically around, in, behind, and ahead of Snowmageddon, traveling for 6 weeks in the dead of winter only through the Northeast, which was some brilliant
being in a
idea.
band is fun.
Which actually was the most brutal thing we've ever done as a band, but it was incredibly beneficial to us because nobody wants to tour in the dead of winter, certainly not in the Midwest and the Northeast. So what happened was we traveled, and people in every city were starving for entertainment, for shows. Radio stations were starving for artists to come visit them in the dead of winter. And we were this no-name band. And people were like, oh, I guess you can come do a morning radio session for us. We don't know who the heck you are. And we come in, set up our whole thing, and do this show like we were playing in front of 400 people going crazy at 7 in the morning for like 30 radio listeners. And the program director of the station would just be like blown away, and we'd leave, and we'd get the call an hour later. They just added Money Grabber to the station, and we built that, and we ended that tour here. Our first show ever playing in Chicago was a sold-out show at the Metro.
Oh, great place to start too.
And then, and Joe Shanahan there was another guy that believed in us, took a chance on this band. We had no business playing a room that big that early. And that led to this sort of energy that I was like, oh, well, these guys, we should put them on at Lollapalooza that summer. And we're not just going to put them on, we're going to put them on the main stage, which we were like, well, we definitely have no business being on that stage.
What was that experience like for you guys?
I mean, for me, that was my first festival that I'd ever performed at. And as a singer and a performer, that was one of the all-time dreams. I just wanted to have that experience once, to walk out at a festival in front of 20,000 people and perform. And it was here with the Chicago skyline in the background. And to this day, it's one of my most precious memories and dreams come true from this whole experience.
I guess that's what it's all about. Now, on the other hand, talk about being a musician for so long, being a 16-year overnight sensation. Where were you in that evolution where you're saying, this is ridiculous, I can't do this anymore, I've got to try to do something else?
I think I had just created a demo, and it was like, I live in Los Angeles, which is a very industry-centric town. It's hard, it's not a music town like Chicago is. So I wrote this demo, and I did like 11 private showcases for every label back in like 2001. And I got 11 no's in a row.
Oh, man.
And that was sort of the cherry on the sundae of my heartbreaking music career. And I just said, I can't take this rejection anymore. And so I said, I have to start actually figuring out a way to make a living from doing music. So I aggressively pursued a friend that worked at a music production company that wrote music for commercials, and another guy that I knew was producing records for Beck and other people, and begged him to be his assistant, and started doing that kind of stuff to start paying the bills, and actually ended up having a bit of success writing music for film and television. And that's sort of the hidden part of the story of Fitz and the Tantrums, was that we had all this amazing buzz at the beginning. I mean, I think we had played 8 shows, and randomly Flogging Molly asked us to go out on the road, and then right after that, Maroon 5 asked us to go out on the road, and then Sharon Jones. But all those opportunities came at a point when we were still an unsigned band. So it was like, high five, everybody. Adam Levine from Maroon 5 just said, come on tour. Oh, this is going to cost us $20,000. But how can we say no? This never happens. This kind of serendipitous thing where he was in a tattoo parlor. The guy played him our EP, and he came to a show the following week and invited us on tour. So I had made a little bit of money from doing music for advertising, and I basically took my whole entire life savings and put it into the band, which amounted to about $100,000 of investment. And it was all risk, because also every guy in the band that are used to getting paid very well to tour for other people and stuff, all didn't make any money, and we basically just all went on a hope and a prayer. with this sort of energy coming back at us saying, you've got something going special here, don't stop. And we're like, we can't even pay our bills. I'm like about to have to sell my home and move out because I've put every ounce of money I have into this thing. And we just kept building it and playing and playing and playing. So to me, I always say play shows, make a reputation by making good music, obviously, but by earning your stars and stripes, by winning over 10 fans at a time, 20 fans at a time. Be humble, be gracious with your fans, because they can smell a rat. They don't like attitude. And for us, that's been another thing, is our fans are very dear to us, and they appreciate our down-to-earth nature, and that's inspired them only further to spread the word about the band.
You know, one of the things I come across all the time when I talk to musicians and recording artists is, when you get right down to it, you have to love performing and making music more than anyone can imagine. I mean, you're talking about an emotional commitment, you're talking about a financial commitment, you're talking about just leaving it all out there. And as you might well imagine, being in radio, I have people hand me compact discs all the time because they think, okay, Lynn's going to run back to the station, she's going to play the song, and then we're going to send them 500,000 CDs in the next week. And that would be nice. I would like to have that kind of influence, but that never happens. You have to get out and you have to play live.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, there are those 1 in a million people that write a song in their bedroom, and all of a sudden they've got, you know, 4 million hits on YouTube from.
He's coming up later.
You know, and that's an amazing experience, but I think the danger is for other people to use that very rare template as that's going to be their path, because I'd say for the rest of the people, it's work your ass off for a very long time, and then, you know, hopefully you get some success out of it, or you get to actually live your dream and do what you want to do. You know, I mean, part of me is totally jealous of that, like, oh, let me just have that moment, you know, and then I have a lot of pride that for all of us in the band is that, you know, we earned every bit of success that we've had because we've been on the road for 5 years. I haven't been home in 5 years. I don't even know what home is anymore, to get to where we are, you know, and it definitely has. It comes with a soulful price on the other side of that too.
But at this point, you feel happy where you are, aren't you?
I do. You know, I mean, it's, you know, I think your dreams and it's not always exactly what you expect it to be. And I had no idea once we started to have a little bit of success how hard the work. I thought we had worked hard before. Right. And then when Money Grabber started to take off, it was a whole nother level of exhaustion, flying around the world with no sleep night after night, and going to every radio station, 3 radio stations in one city in a day, doing all this crazy promotional stuff that
because
as
now everybody wants
a
piece of you. Now everybody's interested.
Which are quality problems.
Yeah, quality problems, rock star problems. Mike, I feel like I could talk to you for the next 2 hours, but we're already out of time, and I think that's going to go that way all night long here at this Evolution of Music.
Thank you so much for having me.
Fitz, Michael Fitzpatrick of Fitz and the Tantrums.